Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to this very interesting session today. I can tell you that a lot of members and future members are interested in knowing and knowing more about the recruitment and selection process. And for that purpose, today we have with us an industry expert. We have with us Mr. Faisal Imtiaz. Let me very quickly introduce Mr. Faisal Imtiaz to all of you. Okay, so Faisal is an HR professional currently working as the territory HR business partner at Coca-Cola. He's based in Karachi in Pakistan. Faisal has an extensive experience in recruitment, performance management, compensation benefits, leadership development, employer branding, change management, and there's another abbreviation that he's used, which is WILT, and we'll ask him what that stands for. But you can see that Faisal, and on top of that, he has expertise in organizational development and business partnering. Faisal is equipped with over 12 years of experience in the profession and has been associated with some leading names in so that's a very brief introduction of our special guest today. Faisal, for your today we are joined by members from across the Middle East and South Asia region. We have members and future members. So you will see people from Bangladesh, you'll see people from Middle East, you'll see people from Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and a number of other places. And so therefore you will be heard by a lot of individuals who will be acting on your advice, which is something that we value a lot. Now, just a couple of other things, and for Faisal's information, more importantly, the session is being recorded, and most of the people will be able to attend this live, while some other individuals who are not attending it live today will be able to watch the recording of this webinar afterwards. So without any further ado, and simply starting to discuss the recruitment process and then the selection, are these different some important aspects of your resume development, some important tips and very important advice on how to be prepared for your interview skills. What are the signs if you are not being called up by an employer in response to your resume submission? What does that mean? And if, let's suppose, you get an invite for an interview, but you're not being selected after the interview, what do you need to fix? I think these are some very, very important aspects. And the expert that we have with us today, he'll be able to tell you the story from the other side. So without any further ado, I will hand over to Faisal. Let's keep the session as interactive as in the past. Do ask your questions, and Faisal, you have every right to ask the audience a lot of questions as well. So do ask them for their experiences. Do ask them for their opinion about things. Yeah. So I think it's going to be an interesting session altogether. So with that, let me hand over to Faisal. I'm going to go on mute. Unfortunately, you will not be able to see Faisal because of some technical reason that we were trying to fix earlier, and because of which the webcam will not be visible. So you will only be able to hear Faisal and see his screen today. So with that, I'll hand over to Faisal. Thank you very much. Over to you, Faisal.
Reggie, thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity, and it gives me immense pleasure to be talking to all of you who are not only finance people, but the future leaders of the world, I would say. And as much as I hate not being able to see you all and not being able to show my face, let me assure you guys that you guys are lucky enough that my face is not visible to you all. So, this is going to be good to your eyes that you're not seeing my face. So, and as far as the session is concerned, I have been into sessions. Harun just mentioned the abbreviation WILT, which is virtually instructor-led trainings. So this is what I've been doing for the last 2 years since COVID had hit the world, that we started making our classroom trainings, transform them into our online trainings, where virtually an instructor could lead the training. And we made them happening, we made them fun, we made them very engaged for audience, because while you are in a session of the sort, the whole world conspires to attain your attention. So something on Facebook is going to pop up. You will remember, try to watch scores, cricket scores. I'm going to give you a lot of cricket examples, by the way. I hope there are people here from Sri Lanka and other countries where people who love cricket. So, you'd want to watch scores and you'd want to deviate or do something else, important in your life. And that's the worst part, that I won't be able to even see you while you're doing that. But I would just want you to keep this alive. I would request you to ask me as many questions as you want, and give me a feeling that you guys are there at the other end of my laptop, my machine. Um, One thing more that I did is that I did not come up with a presentation. Uh, um, Anything of that sort that would bore you guys to death, because I wanted to keep it interactive. Unfortunately, you cannot speak. However, your keyboard can speak for you. So let it go busy as much as it can, right? So
Faisal, if I can
I
very
just
quickly
repeat.
interrupt for a second only. Sorry for this
Mhm.
interruption. You can ask Feroz to unmute individuals if you want so, right? So people who are listening to you, they can speak as well. Okay. So from time to time, you can tell them to raise hands and Feroz will manage the rest. Okay.
That is good news. Let me just turn my Outlook off, because my mails would keep on popping. So that is good news. It'll be great to hear your voices. It'll be great to hear your questions. And in case I don't understand a question, in case there's a problem in typing it, you can always write your message here and we can unmute you. Okay, so it goes both ways. So to begin with, if you have any questions or any queries before we jump into the session, please write your questions here. Um, and let me just reiterate one more time that no question is a lame question. No question is a stupid question. No question is a question that is childish. Every question is very important. So please feel free to ask as many questions as you want. At times when we are in sessions where there are more people, where there are people that we don't know, where there are people that we are not familiar with, we tend to not ask questions. We feel a little shy. So please don't feel shy. Go ahead. How many of you out there understand Urdu and Hindi? Are there any people in here? Just write in the chat box who do not understand Urdu or Hindi. All of you understand Urdu and Hindi? Yes, no, maybe. Okay. All right, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. Got it, got it. Thank you very much, everybody. There are a few people who don't, so I won't be using examples, or I won't be using words that have Urdu or Hindi in them. Let me just jump on to the questions. Is there any chance for this participant to have opinions regarding our individual CVs? Yes, we can do that. I would like my resume to be evaluated. Is graphical work needed in CVs? Eye-catching colors, etc. Good questions. All of them are very good questions. I am going to answer to these questions as I walk you through the session today. How to properly answer the question? Tell us something about yourself. All right, great. How to properly answer the question? Tell me about yourself. I was just about to tell you about myself. I want my CV to be evaluated. Well, Hasib, I would charge you for that. Just kidding. How important is the educational section in a CV of candidate with experience portfolio? Great. What if everything goes well in an interview, still no feedback or further selection? Like if you've aced even 3-4 interviews, also sometimes we hear you are more experienced. Why cover letter is more important. Awesome questions, guys. Just hold on to your questions right now, because they have piled up. You have bombarded me with questions. I'm thankful for that. Let me just kick off the session, and I will remember these questions. And as we deep dive into the session today, I'll be answering the questions that we have till now. And as we move on, keep on sending your questions. And wherever you feel that your question has not been answered, please raise it again. Okay. So to begin with, what do you think is the difference between a resume or a CV? You can write in the chat box. Let me know. What do you guys think is the difference between a resume and a CV? Any idea? Zara, that's the good answer. Length difference. CV is the longer version. Resume is concise. Shoaib Junejo, pretty much concise. Amount of detail, yes, true. So you guys know what the major difference between a resume and a CV is. Resume at times is just a one-pager, whereas a CV, it contains some information, rather more information than a resume. Okay. How to make the interview before. All right, guys, hold on to your questions right now because I won't be able to keep track of the previous questions. I want to answer all the questions, so would be grateful if you could just hold on to them for a little while, and then we can I can ask you for more questions. Is that okay? How to make yourself familiar with the interviewer before your actual interview, so the time when you appear, he knows who am I. Great question, Anas. I'm going to answer that. Please guide how to convince the interviewer when you are being asked for the function you have not worked in. Most part of your interview is based on how to answer in order to ace the interview. I didn't get the question. Anyhow, resume, summary, CV detail. Okay, so the difference is that when you are graduating, you've just graduated and you're applying for jobs, how long do you think your CV or your resume be? I have seen fresh candidates coming in who've never done a job in their entire lives, and when they reflect their CVs or their resumes, CVs I would say, it goes up to 3 pages, 4 pages, and it goes on and on and on. I have professional experience. Hasib says 3 years of 8 years working with 3 different art clients with diverse portfolio from stock brokerage. Whoa, okay. Most of some experience. If list of all clients CV goes more than 4 pages, and if concise to major clients, it makes 3 pages. Desirable, okay. Would resume be general and CV varying from company to company? Okay, as requested, just hold on to your questions for now. I am answering your questions one by one, and we are discussing, or rather, discussing in detail what resume or CV should look like. So I see candidates who have never worked ever in their lives, and when they email me their CVs or when they come in for an interview, their CVs are 3 pages long, 4 pages long, and even 2 pages long. To me, myself, it feels like a little crime. That, buddy, you have done nothing in your life. You have not done a single job in your entire life. Okay, my camera somehow is on now. Why is that? Can you guys see me? Yes, no, maybe. Where is the
finally
question mark?
decided to come to life.
Okay. So how do I go back to my screen now? Why is it not sharing my screen? Why is it only my face visible and it's so kind of big on the screen? Makes me feel shy, you know. I'm a camera shy person. Okay.
If you can,
I guess I figured
if you
it
can
out.
go back to your, sorry, listen, Faisal, if you can hear me, if you can go back to your Chrome, it'll your screen will disappear. Yeah, the camera is behind your.
My screen is visible, right?
browser.
Is my screen visible?
The screen is visible. Yes, your Chrome is visible, right?
Great. Okay. So I see candidates coming up with the 4 pages CV, a 3 pages CV, a 2 pages CV, and to me it feels like a crime that, buddy, you haven't done anything in your life, you haven't achieved anything in your life, so how come you would want me to be so interested to be looking at a CV that has nothing in it, and it is 4 pages long or 3 pages long. What they do is that they will have a big column for their hobbies. They will even have a big picture of them, and then some space in between, and then a lot of spaces, and then the font would vary with every line, and they somehow think that having a big CV would make them, get a job or get ace the interview. Whereas this is not, to be honest with you, an examination. Your CV or your resume, your portfolio reflects you as a person, right? So if I get to see Sajjad Sheikh's CV, or for that case, Suleiman Simab's CV, or Fadali's CV, uh, I would want it to be an introduction of these guys, right? So if it is a lengthy CV with a female, with a funny email address, I tend to get very funny email addresses as well. Do you think I would want to call any of these for an interview? Yes or no? I would obviously would not want to call them for an interview, because when somebody writes to me with an email address, lonely prince or lonely eyes underscore missing you, these are real email addresses, by the way. I am not kidding you. And then before we go any further, when I was your age, this is what, 300,000 years ago, and when I was making my first email address, trust me, it still makes me feel ashamed, the kind of email address I had. And then I had the audacity to put it on my resume. So I still feel ashamed about it. I'm not going to tell you what the address is, but please don't do that. So have a professional email address on your CV to begin with. Is it feasible to add CPDs in the CV as a list, especially the soft skills? Could you please elaborate what CPD is? So,
Continuing
okay,
professional
let me tell
development.
you what I'm sorry?
Continuing professional development. So that's a
Okay,
technical thing that I can maybe pick up. So if something that doesn't relate to you, just throw that back on me.
all right, great. So my email address, with a lot of humiliation, I tell you, was Dr. underscore cool PK at yahoo.com. And whenever I applied anywhere in the world, nobody got back to me. They thought that I was too cool for the job, so they never got back to me. So please, if you have any email addresses of that sort, if you even feel like doing that, please don't do that. So this is, I'm telling you stuff that from the lens of a recruiter. So to begin with, do you guys put your pictures on your CV or your resume? Yes or no? Yes, Babar Azam, you're not playing cricket today? Oh, you have an off day, so you're here. A lot of people say yes, a lot of people say no. If I give you my humble opinion as a recruiter, as somebody who looks into CVs all day long, do not put your picture on your resume, on your portfolio, on your CV, until unless the recruiter has asked for it, until unless it's your portfolio that they need to print and place your picture. Do not place your picture, because I also tend to see a lot of funny pictures, side lights, and then side poses, and then there's those flowers in the background with those funky color shirts. My God, I have a lot of things of that sort, a lot of entertainment actually. Don't do that. Don't put your picture on the CV, because Daniel says that I don't want them to know my identity exactly. So you don't put your picture over there, and it saves you a lot of space on your CV as well. So the rule of the thumb is that to have a smart CV, not only how to write a finance CV, but how to write a smart CV, you need to be as precise, as crisp, as short, and as smart that you can be. So you can utilize all the space there is on the page, and the smaller of a resume, CV, or a portfolio that you have, the better it looks to the recruiter. Because the recruiter, if I'm not wrong, hardly has 3 seconds to go through a profile and move on to the next. So I have seen a lot of people who got different job offers just because they came up with creative CVs. Moving on. I remember in university days, I'm sure a lot of you would be doing that too. Please do not say no. That will break my heart. That when we graduated, when we wanted to apply for jobs, someone asked us to share our CV, and we did not know how a CV looked like, or we didn't even know how a CV was made. So we went to this computer fellow. He had this computer shop who would print out things for us for our theses and all. And we asked him if he could make our CV. And he printed 1,000 CVs of the same format, just the name, the email address, and I guess the gender changed on it. Rest, everything on that CV was same. Now, someone here asked me that they apply for so many jobs and they don't get a response. I was at a top school's career fair, I was just visiting, and all the kids that were there, they had one particular format to their resume, to their portfolio. So this girl comes up to me and asks in a very American accent that I couldn't even figure out most of the time what she was trying to say. So she asks me that, all right, so would you hire me? And I picked her resume. I walked 2 steps back. I mixed it with the 1,000 CVs, the portfolios that I had, and I asked her to pick her CV out of these. And I even told her that if you pick your CV out of these 1,000 CVs, I'm going to hire you right away. And she could not do that. The reason she could not do that is because all the CVs looked alike. Now, if all the CVs would look alike, how would I be interested in hiring that person? You're getting my point. Is it making sense? Yes or no? Just one or two yeses or one or two no's, right? Even if it is boring you, please let me know. All right, great. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Ooh, that's enough. Hold it. All right. So um, when it comes to making our own CV, what we do is that we find an easier way out, and we just ask a friend for his or her CV, and we change our details, and it is good to go. This is what not only makes us reflect that we lack creativity, it makes us look as someone who would want to get things done without putting more effort into them. So there are a million ways to build a CV. I am not going to give you one particular format. Just Google and you will find at least thousands of ways to build your CV. Make it creative, make it very beautiful, make it attractive in the sense that anybody who goes through it would want to read more into it. Okay, I can tell you what to do, how to go about it, but I'm not going to kill your creativity here. So what should a CV majorly look like? It should basically start with your name in the middle, with your address, with your email address, with your physical address, and with your phone number. So your contact details should come under your name. Then it should tell what your mission, vision, or your objective in life is. That, for example, this is Harun Javed. What does format mean to you? Is it's worth mentioning new and hot skills in the market? Yes, Daniel. So Harun Alam is the name, that's the address, and then the objective, what Harun Alam is, how he tends to introduce himself, what value can he add to the organization. And the funny thing is that the objective written on the CVs that I went through or I have gone through are more or less the same. Has a lot of business acumen and wants to serve a good organization and wants to give back to the community. And that is the objective of at least 1,000 people that I've met or seen their CVs. So please change that, right? So once that is done, what I would want you to do is that once you put in your objective, just highlight your key skills. For example, while Harun was introducing me, he told you that I've done OD, I've done leadership development, I've done recruitment, I've done stakeholder management, I've done employability value proposition, I've done EVP. So these are the things that I would write under my objective, that these are the things that I am good at or I These are my USPs. Okay. After that, I would want to mention what my current organization is, and I would want to add my JDs underneath it. So the name of the organization, the time since I've been working there, and then the JDs, right? And when it comes to JDs, it feels as if we are carrying the weight of the world. I once got my fancy one-pager resume professionally reviewed, which included 2 major columns. I would have said the way HR system works and extracting data from them, keeping the format simple, top down. Sharyar, that's what your experience has been, but I'll tell you how HR works, and at times HR does not even work. Most of the times HR does not even work. This is the system that shortlists your CV, your resume, not the HR at times. I'll come to that. So where was I? I was telling you that I tell about my experiences, my JDs, and I need to keep my JDs very crisp. So there was a gentleman here who asked, who's been in 4 different organizations, and his CV was as long as 4 pages. So I'm sure, I pretty much assume that you were focusing a lot on your JDs, if I'm not wrong. These were 4 different organizations. I'm sure they made you do different jobs, they made you do different things, and that you have added to your JDs, but cut down the long sentences, come up with small, precise adjectives, come up with fancy words that would make those big lines transform into small words. Are you getting my point? For example, data crunching, analytics, um, stakeholder management, CPD for that case. So write such abbreviations which are fancy, which cover your JDs, and which are precise and concise as well. Okay, making sense? Thank you. Then, do we have to talk about company's summary before JD? No, we don't have to talk about the company's JD. We just name the organization. That's it. Let them Google the organization, and then you just write your JDs underneath it. And then comes somebody to ask about the education detail as well. So what happens is that we consume a lot of space. I did ACCA, institute, year, grade, CGP, and moving on to the other degree, then the other degree, then the previous degree, and it takes a lot of space. So I would like to ask another question here. Should we be writing our CGP or our grade on our CV? No. Yes. No. Thank you. Thank you everybody for saying no. I would love saying no to this because I would never put my CGP on my resume or my profile on my portfolio because it is not to be told to anyone. It was so bad. And you should not be telling your grade or your percentage or your CV or your CGPA, because what at times happens is that if someone who scored 4 out of 4 wants to put that 4 over there, it gives them that pride, that feeling that they're special or they're very good with their studies, right? At their studies, but that makes your interview go tougher. No, but what if it's a distinction? Well, okay, is it an objective or career summary that you described? It can be a mix of both. It can be a mix of both, objective and career. So Daniel asked, but if it's a distinction, that can be shown in achievements, right? Okay, as a financial consultant or auditor, hold on, guys. I really need to keep track of your questions. Okay, where was I? As a financial consultant or auditor, do we still include our JDs or type of projects we took on? So yeah, that's a good question, Jaryar. When you've been doing the same stuff, the same job, the same kind of JD, be very precise and concise about it. Just a 1-liner or 2-liner, maybe you can put those 5-6 lines into simple 5-6 words and make 1-liner out of it. Okay. Majority of candidates coming with audit firms, we do write names, audit clients where we were posted. Yes, you can do that. You can do that where you did your article shift. That would fall under your experience, if I'm not wrong. Okay. So once you've mentioned your education, How to mention your education? I would suggest that you make a box, right? It's feasible to use the built-in LinkedIn profile CV builder. Very, you can do that in Zeal. That's a good way to go about it, an awesome way to go about it. What I would suggest is that if you have to tell about your educational background, you make a box like we see in front of her: question, asker, received, answer. So the first column would say degree, maybe. Then the next column would say institute, and the next column can say year, which year you graduated. And that's pretty much it, right? It can be MBA, University of Agriculture, Faisalabad, and 2018. You're getting my point? So that would help you concisely tell about your education in just 3 to 4 lines, 3 to 4 columns, right? Clear? Moving on. Then comes the distinctions that you to use the build. Okay. Then comes the part where you have to discuss or show or elaborate your achievements, your distinctions, stuff that you've done. So you can have an extra column for that. You can place your achievements there. Also mention your hobbies if you can, if there's space over there, because at times the interviewer is interested in your hobbies and they ask you questions around it. At times your hobbies match the hobbies of the interviewer, and it helps you at least getting shortlisted, or the interviewer asks you more questions and you get to uh, discuss more. Trainings, yes, you can do that. To mention your trainings, it would come somewhere next to or with the achievements column or the space where you're trying to show what your achievements are. So now what people do is they have images or graphics, someone said, on their CVs. So if it's my cell phone number, it would not say cell phone. It would just have a picture of a cell phone and my number would be in front of it. If it says education, it'll be an image of someone holding a degree with that particular hat, and then you'll be able to mention your educational background beneath it, right? Yes, mention your publications, but that'll be more than a resume. It will become a detailed CV. And 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 trust me, when I say that you have to make a precise or a concise CV, I do not mean to say that if your recruiter or your interviewer or your resume that you have applied wants detail about it, please go crazy. Put in as much detail as you can if it is required. If it is not required, do not put more details. All right. Now, how do I make it visible for the recruiter? How do I make it effective for the recruiter? How do I type things in it that would make my CV look prettier than other CVs, right? So someone asked me that he or she got his resume made from a consultant, and as per them, HR does not look into these fancy CVs. But my friend, what happens is that at times we apply online, right? If I'm not wrong, you go to websites, you apply for those jobs, and you apply, put your you build your resume over there, and you even upload your CV over there as well. That happens, right? So what happens is that once you've uploaded your data, your CV into that website, humans will not going to go download your CV and go through that. There's a filter at the beginning of the process. There's artificial intelligence behind it that runs that filter, and that filter tends to filter CVs that have a particular data, a particular information, or particular words, if I'd say, right? So when you are going through the JDs of that position, try to, whenever you're applying for a job, JDs of the job are mentioned, right? So try to pick some words from that JD and put it in your JDs or put it in your CV wherever you find it suitable. Tailor make it. People often ask me that is one CV good to go, good to apply at every opportunity? My answer is no. You have to tailor make your CV as per the job, as per the organization, as per the requirements of the job, right? You add stuff into it, you edit stuff out of it, you delete stuff out of it, you shape it up for that particular position. So the keywords requirements, as I mentioned, Daniel has mentioned here as well, are the words that you would put in your JD, in your profile, and you will be able to get through the first filter and get shortlisted. Okay, is that making sense? Then what happens is that we tend to get disappointed, get sad, get emotional that we've been applying ever since and we're not finding jobs, as it used to happen in Bollywood movies when I was growing up, that whenever a hero would get into interviews, they have this file containing his distinctions, his certificates, his CV, and he would never find a job. And eventually he would sell his degrees, certificates, his shields, and his trophies, or he would become the bad guy, or maybe fall in love with the rich daughter of a bad villain, bad person, and then live happily ever after. So do not feel bad like that Indian hero, like that Bollywood hero. That happens. That is going to happen more than you even expect. But how you improve on it is that CV bit is, once it's done, it has been sent to the right person. Then comes the employability part. Then comes what the employability skills are. I will come to that after a short break, but let me initially conclude the CV bit that is available on ACCA's website as well. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not using my presentation. I'm trying to go through and discuss stuff that is already available with you guys and you have access to it, right? So what this says is that how to write a finance CV. So you target your CV. You should I write different type of CV if applying for one big four. I've answered that question. Keep your finance CV short and punchy. I've talked about that as well. It's all about achievements. Yes, you mentioned your achievements. For example, you were able to save some money for the organization. The savings went from 6% to 18%. Please mention that. Recruiters, interviewers find that very entertaining, very much attractive, right? If you were able to, for example, if I'm a recruiter, right? If I was able to complete, close C-suite positions, as in CCOs, CFOs, in a record time, and if I was able to add diversity into the recruitment, I would mention that as stats in my achievements and JDs as well. Why facts and figures are important? Well, facts and figures are important because people get attracted towards facts and figures. Now, whenever you're communicating, I was at this art school once in my life, and our teacher, who was a filmmaker, told us that there are only two things that tend to attract your audience. That audience can be your interviewer, your recruiter, your if you do radio, your audience, if you do TV, people watching you on the TV, if you're a writer or a columnist or whatever you're doing which has communication in it, there are two ways to make it attractive for the audience. The first method to do is mention as many facts and as many figures you can. Facts and figures attract people, so they attract your recruiter as well. All right. Sharyar, I hope that I've answered the questions that were asked at the start of the session. Please scroll up. If you think I've missed any of the questions, you can paste them here again. I would love to answer them. Maybe I'm asking out of the boss question. Actually, I want to know how to deal with the salary issues. Munshi Fahima Rahman, that's a good question. I'm going to answer that question. I have that in mind, but that'll come at the end of the session. If I forget, don't make me forget. You can ask me the question again. Okay. Okay, so the first thing that attracts your audience is that how much facts and figures you have in your conversation, even in your interview, on your CV, in your drama, in your film, or your script, right? And the second thing that attracts your audience, your interviewer, is how emotionally you get connected to the other person. For example, how many of you have seen The Pursuit of Happiness? I've seen it like 20 times. And every time I see it, I cry. Yeah. I cry because I feel emotionally attached to that character. I feel that that is the film of my life. I mean, I feel as if my life, they've made a film on my life. So I get attached to it, I get emotionally attached to it, and I keep on watching it again and again, although I've watched it like 20 times. So you cannot write fancy emotional dialogues in your CV, can you? You cannot do that. So that you can add into your interview part, and we can discuss that after the break. I need to break to pray, but before that, I'll answer your questions quickly, and then we'll break for 5 to 8 minutes. Is that okay? Uh, Sir, tell me one thing. Most of the people thinks that CV is very important for interview call. Yes, because that's the reason we are having this session. CV is very important for the interview. If CV is not properly maintained, unable to receive my any response, is that right? Yes, I've mentioned that earlier as well. That if your CV is not properly made, if you haven't tailor-made it for the particular position, you might not get shortlisted. Okay. Do we have any other question? Yes, curricular, extracurricular activities, please do not forget to put them there, because anybody who comes up with a gold medal in dramatics or a gold medal in debates, I want to talk to them. I would want to know about their debating experiences, and I would want to ask questions around that as well. Okay. Do not forget, if I've forgot to mention it, my apologies. How recruiters evaluate us psychologically, I'm going to answer that in the next bit of the session. I am in UAE searching for a job for the past 4 months. I'm applying online constantly, but did not get any response. Well, Fahad, I tried answering this question. Now apply by changing your CV a little bit, adding those fancy words, those words out of those keywords out of the JDs mentioned in the job. Try doing that, and then there's another way to build on your employability. As I mentioned earlier, I want to talk about it. Okay. Do you think cover letters should be concise, to the point, or long somewhere story driven? The cover letter should be story driven. It's a letter that is describing you, right? Cover letters are also tailor made, but you can put all the detail in the cover letter. For example, my cover letter would be, just hold on to your questions right here. Let me tell you what my cover letter would say. I started my career from the business process outsourcing industry, where I built my acumen pertaining to business that is in sourced from America and then outsourced to call centers in India and in Pakistan. And this particular job gave me hands-on experience on recruiting, on training people, running operations, and yielding sales, and then evaluating performance. With this experience of 2 years, I built my acumen around customer services, and I was selected as the team leader at the biggest telecom company of the country, Mobiling Jazz, as a team leader, where I built upon my blah 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 skills, and I attained blah 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 business acumen, and that helped me build my horizon, my career, and I paved my way into another job, and I did that. I aced that. I aced this, and I aced that. That is how you build your cover letter. Okay. This is the last question that we're taking, and then I'm going to be breaking for 5 to 10 minutes. What if everything goes well in an interview, still no feedback, no further selection, like you've faced even 3 to 4 times interviews, say more experienced people share, say more experienced views, or sometimes the same more experienced people share possibilities. Well, Arsalan, I exactly cannot tell you why you didn't get selected out of those 3, 4 interviews. There can be multiple reasons. Maybe you were overqualified, maybe you were overexperienced, maybe that job was not for you. And do not consider it as a failure, I would say. You know, it's that you didn't uh, get selected for it. It's just about that. That's it. It's not that there's something, and then you reflect uh, back as well, because at times what we think is that I recently gave an interview, and there was one of my very good friends in the panel who wasn't asking questions, but he was there in the panel. And after the interview, I called him up with a lot of motivation and passion that I particularly thought that I had aced the interview. And when I called him, he was a dear friend, and he just gave it to me, and he gave me a mouthful, because as per him, my interview went very bad. I just couldn't, articulate my thoughts into words, and I couldn't ace the interview at all. So at times, what we think is that we've answered the questions correctly, we've given them the right appropriate answers. However, they are not the right appropriate answers. So please focus on that as well. Yes, there are a lot of companies. I'm going to get back to you guys in 5 to 8 minutes. Excuse me. Please take over till then, or have a break, eat something, maybe go destroy your lungs, smoke cigarettes, do whatever you want to. I'll be back.
Okay, thank you. Yes, you can smoke or take a break, but those who are not taking a break, I can say that open up your careers portal, careers.global.com. This article is written there, so you can very quickly read through it. And when the fest comes back, maybe more targeted questions. Thank you very much for keeping it very interactive. We'll be back in exactly 8 minutes max. Thank you.
Raiji, thank you for your patience. I am back. Let's get started. G, should we get started? Restart it, I'd say. Reinitiate the session.
Yes, we are good to go. You can see you as well.
All right, great. So we spoke about having an effective or a smart finance CV, and I've tried answering your questions as well. Now is the part that how do we make them effective to the extent, or what do we really do in the world? I'm so sorry I have to take this important call. Sincere apologies. Sincere apologies. Actually, a recruiter called, so I had to take the call. Yeah. So we were at this part that maybe I need to plug in my laptop charger. Why would I want to do that? No, I don't want to do that right now. There's an ample battery. Uh, So Tanzil says that, to be honest, writing CV and resumes is a journey that evolves with experience and by learning more and more whilst applying for different organizations. Just found hundreds of templates with you all useful. Great. Thank you, Ariful Islam, for sharing the website which has those templates. Feel free to use them and come up with creative portfolios, creative CVs, profiles. Now, there's this question that has been there for a while. Tell me one thing. Most of the people think that CV is very important for interview. Now we are on that particular point where we are going to focus on improving our employability chances, our chances to be shortlisted, to get shortlisted for interviews, our chances to get the job, our chances to be at least recognized or register ourselves with the recruiters to the extent that we start getting interview calls, right? That is, I guess, an issue, a burning issue that most of our graduates go through. So to begin with, How many people in the audience right now have tried to register themselves with recruiters? Um, um, uh, I guess you will have to help me, Arun, again with the question bar. I've somehow lost it. I would want to read the questions. If you could just guide me through one more time. I
Yes.
don't know what I'm
So
doing. Yeah,
you see the
yeah.
call out button.
Got it.
Just
Got it. Got it.
just
Thank you.
click.
Great. Okay. So what was my question again? I forgot my question.
Recruiter, recruit service.
So how many of us have tried to be not friends, at least become acquaintances with recruiters? Very less people out of us, right? So first thing first is that you try finding recruiters around you. And then there's specialized recruiters who just are technical recruiters who would recruit people in cloud computing, I would say. They are specific recruiters specialized in recruiting senior finance people. There are specialized recruiters who are specialized in recruiting entry level people, entry level resources. So try finding those recruiters. Just write the recruiter in Google in your specific country, and it will give you a list of hundreds of recruiters, right? Saad Ilyas, you've been called for interviews where I've applied directly. Very nice. You must have a good profile, a good CV then. Um, so if I talk about Pakistan, people in Pakistan just write recruiters and you would see a million names in front of it. You would see HRSJ, you would see HRSI, you would see Fulcrum, you would see PRI, you would see Career Pakistan, and then this goes on and on and on. So what you do is it shows the details of the recruiter as well. You get a chance to build your profile with that recruiter as well. So first thing first, try adding that person on LinkedIn. Just give them your brief introduction, who you are, and if they're interested, share your profile with them as well. What we do is that we are so desperate at times that we would find a person on LinkedIn. Hello, sir. Hi, sir. Please find my CV and find a job for me, suitable job for me. I in the world will not have time to open your CV, then go through its detail and find a particular job for you, and then shortlist your CV for it, and then interview you and give you that job. I am not going to do that. By I mean 99% recruiters of the world. You're not going to do that. No. What you do is you become acquaintances with them. You tell them what your speciality is. You tell them that you would want to be evaluated if there is any particular job around this experience, this education, this portfolio, and you are open to relocation, and you're open to learning. You're open to getting into organizations that are challenging, stuff like that. So first thing first, build your relationship with recruiting agencies. A. Part B, Google your dream organizations that you want to work for. It can be Coca-Cola, because we are not applied saying that. It can be Unilever. It can be, I'm not going to mention my competition. It can be any other organization. It can be Google. It can be Facebook. And go to their careers page and add your portfolio over there. Build your CV over there. I don't think you might get shortlisted or called for it. It's all right, right? But still build your portfolio over there. You never know. I applied at an organization, and trust me on this, I got a call out of the blue almost 8 years later that I had put my portfolio, my detail into their system. It can take ages. It might not take ages. It might happen for you there and then, and it might not happen at all. So first thing first, you're meeting recruiters, you're sharing your portfolios with them, and then you are trying to build your portfolio in different organizations where you think you can find a job at, right? Moving on, you might have friends and family in different organizations, in different places where people related to your profession work, right? The key word is, the magical word is, the word that makes the difference in the world is networking. So try building your network with your seniors, with people who are already doing jobs at good uh, places, your dream organizations, or wherever you feel like that you want to be working. You try building a network with those people and tell them that you've completed your modules, you are, mashallah, a graduate now, or someone who has holds a finance degree and is ready to take up challenges and is very excited to get into new roles. So whenever there's a position, please do let me know. Now, how do you build upon your networking? What happens is that if I find my senior doing a job anywhere, I used to do that actually when I was young. I would just meet him or meet her and tell her how desperately I needed a job and push them to find me a job. And then when they could not find me a job, I would complain to them that, gee, I just asked you to do one little thing for me. You can't do this one little thing for me. I mean, God has given you so much. Just be kind to other people. Do this one little thing for me. And eventually they blocked me from all the avenues I was available at, or they could see me. I couldn't see them anymore. So don't do that. Just build upon your networking. Maybe greet them on their birthdays and remind them that whenever there's a position, please do let me know. Greet them on Eid or Diwali or Christmas or other religious events, and let them know that you are still looking for an option. So these are subtle ways to let people know who are at influential places that you are ready to take up the challenge, you're ready to find the job, and you want a job actually. Okay? Okay, now how do I get rid of this marker thing? I am so sorry, and I'm so sorry to act so dumb, but I have not used this particular software before. So, oh my God, I don't want arrows, I
You
don't want
just have to
anything.
select normal non-drawing mode. Yeah, select
Got it,
that.
got it. Yeah. I'm sorry, you guys must be thinking, what of a dinosaur I am. I actually am a dinosaur. So, is it making sense, people? Yes, no, maybe. Give me a 2, 3 quick yes or no's so I can move on. Do we even have people out there? Yes. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Tanzeel. Thank you, Nadeem. Thank you, Sajid. That's it. Thank you very much, guys. Moving on. Research, prepare, and practice. Okay. This is when you get into the interview. I'm talking about scenarios when the interview call has not been received as yet, when your portfolio, your profile has not been shortlisted as yet, right? So other ways to build upon your employability is that you start going to career fairs. It's not even in your institute. Go to a career fair. Nobody's going to stop you. There are online career fairs now, right? Start going to them. Nobody's going to start, being a part of them. Nobody's going to say anything to you. Try giving your profile, your CV, your resume to different organizations. You never know what goes your way. Okay. So if I list down the things that you need to do in order to be more reliable to get shortlisted for interviews, is that you build your portfolio, your CV, your profile with recruiters. You become some of acquaintances of friends with them. You keep reminding them that you're open for the job and open to relocation, blah, blah, blah. And then you upload your profile on different organizations, career tabs, career portals, and then you tend to meet people who are already working in these organizations. They may be your seniors, they may be your friends, they may be your relatives. You tell them subtly, you tell them that you want the job, or whenever there's an opportunity, get you shortlisted for the interview, you keep reminding them. And then you go to career fairs. What else do you think you can do to improve on your employability? Anything in your mind that I've missed or that you've tried and has worked for you? Please write in the um, chat box here. ACCA holds job fair. I don't know, Saeed Asif. I have never been to ACCA's job fair. It must be doing it. Even if it's not doing it, there are multiple institutes that do it. Just grab your CV and go. Do not wait. Okay. Anything else that you think is in your mind can improve your employability? Anything that you would like to add? Please feel free to uh, write it in the chat box, in the question box, whatever you call it. Nothing? Okay. Now, let's for a moment think that the magical call has come. The recruiter has called you for an interview. It's going to happen. It's happening. Finally, you are going to go get, you're going to go and ace the interview. It's going to happen, right? So how do you go about it? What happens is EQ can increase. Emotional quotient. Is that what you're saying, Sajid? Okay. So now that you get the call for the interview, how do you practice? What questions do you work upon? What questions they can ask? How do you improve your skills to answer those questions is what I want to discuss now. And bombard me with your questions as usual, but please let me keep track of those questions as well. Okay. So once the recruiter calls you for an interview, first thing you do after thanking them is you don't show them your desperation. Okay. I've done that. You don't show them your desperation. I'm just being funny. You ask for the JDs of the position that you're going to interview you for. Should go through the JDs, and then you ask for the person who's going to interview you. Okay. Why am I asking you to do this? It's because you need to do your research. You need to prepare before getting into that interview. The JD is going to tell you what technical questions they're going to ask, right? So don't response to interview call if schedule does not suit you or on the day you fall real sick. That's a good question, Ruslan. Do you think that adding visuals such as bar graphs or donut charts to show your expertise in certain software will help your CV? It will. Dinuki, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Alfred Islam, people having 8 years experience, please build your CV accordingly and be more, I would say, futuristic with your CV, as in write words that the jobs that will be in the market in 2025, search them out, what they look like, what their portfolio be, add those words in your CV then, okay? Mostly no one can tell about interviewer. That is what I'm coming to, Nadeem. So the first question is that you get a call and you're extremely busy that day. Just tell them that you're not available. Yes, you will be very desperate that you got this call after years and years of practice and you've been waiting for this call. How can I miss this interview now? I have to go. Okay. If you can find the time to go, if you have the ample time, go for it. If you cannot, do not commit. Committing to the interview and not going is going to hurt you real bad. So if you're going to commit, you have to go, or God forbid you fall sick right at the time of the interview. Let the recruiter know, let the interviewer know that you've fallen sick and this is not in your hands, and you would be really grateful and thankful if they schedule the interview someday later, right? So that is done. People do fall sick, people do get their interviews rescheduled. It's not a big deal. Don't be sorry about it. If the need is there, go for it, right? Okay, now what I'm going to do for a moment is that I'm going to tell you what I really want to, and then I'm going to come to your questions. Is that okay? Because I get detracked by your questions and then I, lose track of what I was trying to say. And I ask you what I was trying to say or what I had mentioned earlier, and you guys cannot talk back to me. So we end up being confused, both of us. All right. So once you know the JDs, you would know the technical questions that they can ask. Try building your acumen around them. Try doing your research around them. Try building scenarios and questions around them. Seek help from professionals, as in people who are already in the market, your colleagues, your friends, that build scenarios and questions around these JDs and ask those questions to me and what can be the appropriate answers. Just telling them with your friends as well. Okay. Why do you want to know about the guy who, or the person or the woman who's going to interview? The person who's going to interview is, it will tell you what, it will give you an introduction of the person who's going to interview you. Maybe look at their profile on LinkedIn. I won't say stalk them on Facebook or Insta, but you can do that too, right? So it will give you a brief introduction about that person. I once went into an interview, actually Coca-Cola's interview, And the guy who was interviewing me was my boss's boss, super boss. And it was a casual day, so the guy walks in with a Barcelona jump upper, right? A jacket, Barcelona jacket. And Barcelona, by the way, is a football club, a very famous football club, and I'm a fan of that club too. So even before he could start the interview, we were just chit-chatting, having a normal hello, hi session, a cup session, that we say in Urdu. And we didn't really start off with the questions yet. And I just asked him right away that, sir, this jumper, that this jacket that you're wearing is Barcelona's new jacket. And are you a Barcelona fan or are you just wearing it? And he said, I'm a Barcelona fan. And I told him that I'm a Barcelona fan too. And then we spoke about Barcelona for the next 5-7 minutes. And the guy already liked me. So you're getting my point. You're getting my point. That's how I was able to build my rapport with the guy. So this helps you practice such things. But having said that, do not look for opportunities to be frank with your interview to this extent. Maybe you saw him being a cricket fanatic fan. Do not bring cricket into it out of the blue. The person who's interviewing you would know that you're bringing it out of the blue because you might have stalked them or her on Facebook and you're just bringing it for the sake of it. Don't do that, right? It should not look intentional. If it just pops up, talk about it. The guy interviewing you, if he or she's interested, let them ask questions around it, and then you can start winning the interview. Spoke about rapport building, Tanzeel. Elevator pitch is something that I'm going to talk about in a while when I'll talk about questions that they ask you in the interview, right? Then read the introductory information is what the website says. What I'll say to you is that read the organization's mission and vision, because they often ask you, why do you want to join this organization? Why this organization particularly? So the answer is hidden in their mission and vision. That's the values. For example, if I talk about Coca-Cola that I work for, well, sir, the values of this organization are accountability, integrity, teamwork, and passion. And these are the values. Exactly, these are the values that I live by. I practice them every day in, day out. And if I become a part of the organization that lives these values, I would be a good fit, and I would be able to build upon my values. So, and nobody would ask me to compromise on my values. So that is one big reason that attracts me towards this organization. Well, I was once being interviewed for a telecom company in Pakistan. I'm not going to give my example. I'm going to give someone else's example. I interviewed someone who I was interviewing for a telecom company who was recently launched a year ago. And I asked that particular person that, why do you want to join this organization? It has just entered the market and we are at the bottom of the table. Why do you want to join us? And that person gave me an amazing answer. I want to hire them right away. So what that person said is that, sir, you guys launched your telecom company a year ago. You were at number 4 at that time. Your subscribers were 6.6 million at that time. And just after 12 months of hard work and focus, you have increased your customer base from 0.6 million to 1.8 million, which tells me that you have grown 3 times at a rapid pace. So if an organization is growing at a rapid pace, I want to be a part of this organization that will make me grow, learn, and become a better professional at a rapid pace. So you're getting my point. So the question, the elevator pitch part, or the question that, when they ask you, why do you want to join us, or what value you can add, the answer is hidden in the mission, vision, and the values of the company. So whichever company that you're going for the interview, do not forget to read their mission, vision, and their values. Now, there's an important thing that you can tell them as well. What if in the interview they ask you about your expectations without describing that in detail? Well, you tell them what your expectation is then. I want is honesty. What if the company does not appeal you that much? You're looking for a better position. Say that's a good question. I will answer that during the session. So you read about the object, the mission, vision of the company, the values of the company. You go through the website, see things that are appealing to you that you can mention in the interview, and then you look into their financial reports as well. And how to read a financial report or how to find a financial report, I guess I don't have to preach the converted already, right? I don't have to tell you how to find it and how to read it and how to make sense out of it. So there are companies that have been growing in the past. You can mention that, sir. I went through your financial portfolio. It works for people like me, actually, who are in HR, who are in sales, that it intrigues my interviewer, that I'm really keen to join this organization, that I, being an HR person, have read the financial reports and I know where the company is standing, what were the share rates earlier and what are the share rates right now, and how that is impacting my will to join this organization. So you getting my point? Okay. Now, once you've read the values, you've read the financial report as well, you will exactly know how the company is doing and how you can build upon those questions, right? Okay. I'm not going to tell you, I can't really tell you anything about the technical questions, the questions that they would ask you regarding your finance degree, but there are always people who ask you questions pertaining to your competencies, your behavioral skills, your leadership skills, and if or whether you are a good cultural fit or not. Okay. So you can anticipate those questions. For example, uh, they would ask you, they would go through the STAR technique. You know what a STAR technique is? Google it. I'm asking you to Google it right now, and please write it in the chat box. What is the STAR technique of questions? Does anybody already know? Please Google right now. This is a little activity that I want you to do. This will help you build for your preparations. Geez, Zabi, what is STAR technique? Please write the what is the how do we come up with the word STAR? What is it an abbreviation for? You guys want me to Google it? Situation, task, action, and result. Excellent, Arjun. So what they do is that they give you a situation and the question. They ask you the task you did around it, what action plan you took, and what was the result. And good organizations even ask you what were your learnings out of that particular thing. They ask you through the STAR technique. So they give you a situation, situational questions, behavioral questions. They ask you the task you did around it, the action you took, and what were your learnings, what was the result. Okay. So there can be different questions. The ability to work with, do you like working with teams or you do not like working with teams? Brainstorm how, describe a time when you worked in a team. Do you prefer working independently or part of a team? Tell me about a time when you have failed to meet a deadline. How do you organize your work to ensure you meet your deadlines? Or tell me of a time when you were in a debate with your boss and you were correct and he or she was wrong, and they were adamant over the fact that they are correct, and they made you do what was not correct. How did you handle that situation? How did you come up with a solution to that situation? So this is a situation that they'll give you. They'll ask you to make a task, tell about task around it, the action and the result. Okay. Okay, someone has already mentioned it. Thank you, Arif. I lost track of it. Structure, manner of responding to behavior-based interview questions. So it is important to mention company information, example, number of employees. How did this question come here? How recruiters evaluate us psychologically and emotionally, whether I'm an introvert or extrovert? Well, there are questions around it. There are different. That's a very good question. I'll tell you a technique around it as well. Okay. So what Arif Islam has written is that STAR technique is a method of answering questions that is comprised of 4 steps: situation, describe the situation, when it took place, task, explain the task and what was the goal, action provided, provide details about the action you took and to attain this result, and conclude with the result of your action. Thank you, Arif, for putting it down here and making my life easier and making the others understand as well. So is it clear so far? Yes or no, people? Okay, where did the questions go? Oh God. I guess I've lost the questions again. All right. All right, great. So now let's talk about the first question they asked you in the interview, the elevator pitch where you win or you lose the interview, right? What I do in different interviews is that I would welcome the candidate. I would ask them if they're doing good. I'm talking about interviews that are taking place physically, not online, right? It goes online as well. Similar pattern for online interviews as well, that I'd ask them how they're doing, how's the day, how's the weather, is everything okay with them, are they comfortable for the interview, do they want some more time, do they want a glass of water, tea, coffee maybe, or stuff of that sort. And then I ask them that they're comfortable, and then I tell them that, okay, I'm going to introduce myself first. Then I'm going to ask the panel to introduce themselves. Once they're done with their introduction, we would want you to introduce yourself. We would want you to tell us more about yourself or walk us through your CV and tell us what's your story. Okay. So what happens at this question is that it makes or breaks your interview. Me as a recruiter, the mistake that we do is that we make that story very long. We make it boring. We make it, we do not articulate it properly, and we start it from our birth at times. So I was born to a rich farmer of Sahiwal, and I was the first son of the family, and then I was the first son of the family who graduated. So we add in extra detail that is not required. To answer that question is, how to answer that question is the pattern to it. You currently start off with your current job, your current experience. That if I have to introduce myself, I would begin with, okay, what's with the uh, criteria of speaking English? Because um, unfortunately, in subcontinent, we think, we believe, is somehow inculcated into our brains, into our DNA, I'd say, that if we speak good English, we have a good fair chance to get through the interview. How many people believe that? How many yeses and how many nos? I'm sure there are going to be a lot of no's, also less yeses to it, apparently, because when we try to speak a language which is not our own, when we try to speak a language in which we are not thinking, we're thinking in Punjabi, Pashto, Sindhi, Sri Lankan language, and we're translating that language that we're thinking in our brain into English, and then we are trying to speak English, which makes a mess of it, right? So if they ask you a question in Urdu, please don't try to be an English person. Don't try to convince them or impress them with your English that is broken, that is injured, that is bleeding. Don't do that. You can answer that question in the language that they've asked you, right? I prefer us answering questions in Urdu. Though I've been speaking to you guys for almost 2 hours in English, I hope that I was okay with it. I've been doing English theater, I've done English radio, I've been to English medium schools, I've studied in English medium university, but still I would prefer to answer the questions in Urdu. You know why? Because I'm sure I will never ever make a mistake in that language. You're getting my point? But yes, to some extent, because I met few people who says that you answer the same in English, it would be better. Well, Saad, there's a technique to it. I'm going to come to the technique. It is an international company. I think English would improve your chances. Yes, I'm not saying that if a person is asking you a question in English and he cannot understand Urdu or Hindi or Bengali or Sri Lankan, and you start speaking that language, no, that's not happening. But if the other person on the other side of the table or the laptop is someone who understands my language, I can always switch. You know, I'll give you a demo of it. How do I switch? Yeah, just trying to make it better. Your communication would sound better, right? Your thoughts would be articulated better. Okay. Match with the interview is the easy way out. Thank you so much, Arsalan. You're the winner for tonight. You have to match your language with the interviewer. If they're asking you a question in Urdu, don't try to be an English cowboy or a cowgirl. Just answer the question in the language they've asked you, right? So, uh, how do I switch? I'm going to give you a demo. If you ask me, tell me about yourself, I'm going to tell you what I am all about, and I'm going to switch in between as well. Apologies to all those people who do not understand the language I'm going to speak, but I'm just trying to give you a feeler of it, right? And this is a feeler that I'm trying to give you to local companies or even international companies which have local employees or employees who understand my language, right? So, well, sir, as mentioned, my name is Faisal Imtiaz. I'm currently working for Coca-Cola Italy as the Territory HR Business Partner. और इस रोल में मुझे 2 साल होने वाले हैं और इस रोल में मेरी अचीवमेंट्स ये रही है कि मैंने रिक्रूटमेंट की है, मैंने स्टेकहोल्डर मैनेजमेंट की है, मैंने जेंडर डाइवर्सिटी और डाइवर्सिटी इंक्लूजन पे बहुत फोकस रखा है. एंड बिफोर दिस आई वाज वर्किंग इन द टेलीकॉम सेक्टर फॉर 10 years और जहाँ पे मेरी अचीवमेंट्स ये हैं कि आई वाज 5 times employee of the year. See how easily I have switched between languages and I've tried to give them a feeler of my CV and my portfolio and myself as well. Did that make sense? Great. Thank you, Ursula. Thank you. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you. That's it. So practice this question. Now, how do you practice it? Record it on your cell phone. When I was a little kid, we used to do debates in the university. And what our teachers used to do was that there were cameras, mobile cameras at that time. I'm a dinosaur, yes. They would record us on handy cams and they would make us watch our videos. So we would exactly know what our faces look like, were our expressions fine, did we raise our voices at the right time, did we break our breath at the right time, were we expressing our words properly. So whenever we would see our recordings, we would try to improve on the faults that we've made. So now you have the liberty to use your phone. I'm sure you must have a smartphone with you. Try recording this particular question. Tell me more about yourself. Talk me through your CV or what's your story. Try building a good story around it and try practicing it again and again and again and again. There should be a time limit to it. Yes, 60-second introduction is what we've practiced in this program. That's the way to go about it, Ursulan. Do not go beyond that. That will make the interviewer go to sleep, and we don't want that to happen. So practice this question, practice it with your friends, see what their feedback is, and then build upon it. Okay. Then they are going to ask you this question: that why are you interested in this position? Why do you want to work for us? Why are you? So these 2 questions, if I'm not wrong, I have answered these questions previously. Have I or have I not? When I asked you to read about the organization, go through the JDs, read the mission vision, read the financial reports, would you be able to answer this question? Yes, Saida, Asif, watching demos on YouTube can be very helpful. Okay, great. So why do you want to work for us? This question, I guess, has been answered. They ask you these questions. Why are you leaving your current job? Now, this is a tricky question. Sir, what's the answer to why we should hire you? Sajid, I'm coming to that. Why are you leaving your current job? Often I ask this question to candidates, and most of them, where I lose them is that they would at the very moment say that their current organization is not good. Their learning at their current organization has stopped. Their line manager is the evilest person on the face of earth. There is no work-life balance in their organization. They are not getting paid appropriately. They have no career or future in the organization. They are burnt out with the organization. They're burnt out with the culture. They hate their boss. They have a horrible boss. Is that the correct answer? You think we should say that in the interview? When we ask you, why do you want to leave your current job? Yes, no, never, no, 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 no. Right. That's a lot of negativity already. So what do you think is a good answer to that question? Because I am going to ask that question Every interview recruiter is going to ask that question, that why are you leaving your current job? So that is where you bring in learning opportunities, career growth, as mentioned by Nadia and San, and those may be the truth, but handle diplomatically. Yes, Sultan. Uh, blend with your JD, with your experiences, and if you have read financial reports, you can put the stats there. Remember, I told you facts and figures and emotional attachment. So this is the time to put in the facts in there. That, as I give you this example of a candidate who I interviewed for a telecom company, who said that we had 6.6 million customers at the start of the launch, and now after just a year, we have 1.8 million customers, which means that we've grown threefold. That means our resources have grown threefold as well. Our policies, our procedures, business engineering has grown threefold as well. So if I get a chance to work at such a fast-paced organization, my skills would grow at a pace. My business acumen will be built at a pace, and I would come out to be a great professional. So that is one way to go about it. Please never ever in your lives be negative about your current organization, your current job, your current boss. I would love to hear you saying bad stuff about your boss. I would want you to elaborate more on your horrible bosses, and I would try to image them as well, but I will never give you the job, right? So don't do that. Do not say anything negative. Remember, the rule of thumb is that you can never be negative in the interview, okay? What are your weaknesses? What aspects do you need to improve? What are you not good at? These are the questions that people before me used to ask. If they're asking you such questions, trust me, they're not really up to date. These questions are obsolete now. They are not supposed to be asked. Nobody asks your weaknesses and strengths in interviews now, right? Okay, Arslan, do you want to share that blunder with us? I want to know the blunder. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Yes, Chiros. People don't ask your strengths and weaknesses, but there might be dinosaurs out there like me, myself, who would still want to know what your weaknesses are. What aspects do you need to improve? So I'll answer this question out of experience. Once I was interviewing a female, and I asked her, I don't ask stupid questions. One of the persons in the panel asked her, what are your weaknesses? And she abruptly said, sir, I trust people very easily. And the way she said it, I could feel that her heart was broken and she just recently had a breakup. And I wanted to know more about it. Why did she break up? Why was the guy so bad to her? And you know the details. So you don't come up with such weaknesses. Another person was asked the same question and he replied with a very beautiful answer. Not beautiful, actually, very harmful answer. And he goes, sir, I am very short-tempered. I get really, really aggressive. And then they asked, and when you get aggressive, what do you do? Well, sir, I shout at people, I lose my mind, I even tend to throw things at people or at the wall. And this is how I just can't control my anger at times. This is my weakness, but I'm trying to work on it. So do you think I would want to hire someone who does that? Should we tell our personal or professional weaknesses? I'm coming to that. We can never say such stuff. So if they're adamant to ask your weaknesses, I was recently asked this question that what is your weakness? And I was getting into a role which involved a lot of stakeholder management, right? So I gave them a very safe answer. I told them that, you come up with answers which are your weaknesses and your strengths at the same time. You're getting my point? So if they ask you, what is your weakness? Well, sir, I am a yes man. It is very difficult for me to say no to people. So I have a lot of on my plate all the time because I'm trying to help out people. And the reason that I cannot say no to people, it adds to my work. And I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to work on it. And hopefully I will be able to fix this, right? So this is giving them the feeler that this guy is a good team player. This guy tries to, build a bond, and he tries to, take everybody along with him, right? Okay, I was in a similar situation. The story doesn't know why you want to join. I could have worked a similar way for that employee. And Arsalan, you said that my current employer is not good. Thank you for doing that, Arsalan. All right. So this is how I would want to go about it. And then I can even come up with stuff like that. That sir, I'm too much focused about my work, around my work, about my career, that, and I take it on my it is my first priority. So I tend to impact and affect my work-life balance. I tend to sacrifice things that I can go home and do with friends and family, but I still stay at work and prefer doing. Even if I'm home, I prefer opening my laptop and doing work, which is something that I need to work on. I need to really work on my work-life balance. What an answer. People interviewing you would think that this guy is a workaholic, and who does not want to hire a workaholic? If somebody tells me that they're a workaholic, why would I not want to hire them? You're getting my point? So these were my weaknesses and my strengths at the same time. Got it? Try coming up with something of that sort. I'm not going to give you the exact answer to these questions because your situations can be different. You might be in an interview where they want people who need to maintain their work-life balance. And if you say this over there, they might not hire you, right? But there are very less organizations who want you to have a maintained work-life balance. They all want you to work your backs off. Yeah. Now, is that answered the question? Have I answered your questions? Is that clear to you all? A quick yes, no, maybe. All right. All right, great. I don't want to miss this question by Mavish. Mavish is asking how to respond to the questions relating to career break and guidance assessment. That's a great question. Why do you like to answer the question and even different definition? All right, salary issue, I'm coming to that. All right, great. Just hold on to the questions right now. I need to answer the previous questions. We're short on time as well, we're on the clock. Okay, so somebody asked, what do we tell them about a break? Tell them that you took a break. It can be because of your education. It can be because of your family maybe needed you. Young mothers take breaks when they are on family ways, or when they have children, they want to break for a while from their careers, raise their children and then come back to their careers again. So you can tell them the right reason to it. Or you lost your job somehow and then you didn't find a job, and you tried finding a job and it took you a couple of months. Then I don't know how to go about it. Trust me on this. You don't really tell them that, maybe you lost your job for the right reason, then you can be vocal about it. But maybe you lost it for some awkward reason. People would judge you on that. Don't mention it. I should be telling you that you should mention that. Do not compromise on integrity. But if you think it is safe not telling that, don't tell that. Tell them some other genuine reason. Okay. And some work on a bigger scale, which you previously did, but for smaller scale, for example, handling payroll or HR number of employees when increasing around scale. All right, great. Arslan, if somebody asks you such questions, that if the quantum of work is going to increase, you can always tell them, well, sir, I would love that to happen, because such things really excite me. Such things really motivate me to come to work tomorrow morning again, because what I was doing earlier is something that was in my KPIs. So if my work has been increased and improved, this is where I need to step up. I need to improve on my skills, my quantum of work, my patience, and my delivery to get things done. So I'll take it up as a challenge, and I would want to do that. I would love to do that. It is going to be very helpful to me build my career as well. So you getting my point, Arslan? Okay. So they ask you situational questions, they ask you behavioral questions, and they'll ask you your decision-making process. How agile are you with your decisions? Reasons for choosing your course of action, how you interacted with people, and how did you overcome the challenge. So we were interviewing someone which for a job which required uh, negotiation skills, right? So we answered him, which party does he like? It was a he. I'm trying to be gender sensitive, so but it was a he. Generally, it was a he. So we asked him what his favorite political party is. He mentioned a particular party, and I was like, dude, really? Seriously? I mean, who follows this party? That's a real bad party. Party as in political party. That is not a party that I would want to be a part of. That is a party I would never want to vote. I How can you be, so convinced that that's a good party? And you know what the guy said? Well, sir, you have your own choice. I have my own choice. It's okay. He did not get into a negotiation with me. He did not get into a debate with me. He did not want me to talk more about it. He tried playing it safe, but he kind of lost that question in the interview. You're getting my point? How to respond to the last question, but not the least any question? Anas, could you elaborate, please? I didn't get it. Okay, so whatever question they ask you, whether it's behavioral, whether it's situational, whether it is a task related, or they're trying to, gauge you what you've done in the past, remember that you answer that question in 4 steps. You analyze the situation, you tell them what the task was, you tell them what action you took, and then what the result was. Okay, they would ask you behavioral questions as well, that you were in a project in your college and your project members weren't helping you, they weren't available, they weren't supporting you get the project done. How did you go about it? Did you complain about them? Did you raise this with your teacher? Did you inform your teacher? Did you confront your project members? Or what if you're working in an organization and you have a disobedient subordinate? How are you going to go about him or her? Right? So they put you in situations and then you have to answer them accordingly. Now, the golden question that was asked before as well, when they asked you about your salary. So when I told you that you have to prepare for the interview, I know some ways not to tell current salary, but they ask him again and again. Okay. So when they ask you about your salary, what you try doing is that if you can come to know through your network or somebody who's already there, or if you have a ballpark figure in your mind, that what can be the range of this particular job. If it falls somewhere between 100K to 150K or 170K to 130K, quote them something in the middle somewhere. However, if you are taking home 20K, ask them to give you 200K, they would not give you that 200K. They would not even give you a 20K. They would ask you to go, right? So when they ask you that question, and if you are at the beginning of your careers, there are 2 sides to it, right? Your answer should be focused more on the experience that you're going to get, the exposure that you're going to get, the learning that you're going to get. Well, if I'm a fresher, right, and you ask me, so Faisal, they ask, what is salary do you expect? Then to be honest with you, sir or ma'am, I really don't have a figure in my mind. What I'm focusing right now is that I'm at the start of my career. So the learnings that I'm going to get, the exposure that I'm going to get, the culture that I've been working in, it really fascinates me. So I really want to be into this culture, this environment, and grow as a professional and learn as a professional. And if I could quote a figure, well, it would be somewhere around now that preparation that you've done, just quote something around that figure. If it was 70 to 130K, quote something between that. Okay. If you are experienced and if you've been making money before as well, been getting a salary, you can tell them what your need is. You can see how much percentage you are at and what is the percentage that they're offering. And then even if you think you've oversold yourself, you can always say those magical words at the end that this is negotiable. Okay, right? Great question, Anas. Once they've asked you about your salary, once they've asked you about your expectation, they ask you if you have any questions. Now, intelligent people ask intelligent questions in interviews. Apart from that, we all ask stupid questions, and it is okay to be stupid when it comes to asking questions. But if you're in an interview, you have to ask intelligent questions. And the intelligent questions can be, I'm just giving out examples that, sir, could you please tell me what is the career path of this particular role that I'm being interviewed for? Could you please tell me what would be the other learning avenues at this position? And could you please tell me that would I be able to get any cross-functional or cross-departmental exposure while I'm at this job, right? That's the kind of question that you can ask, right? Or if you don't want to ask a question, it is up to you, right? Growth prospects within the company, career path of the role, such questions can be asked, right? Yes, Sultan, you can ask about the company's personal systems and processes as well, but don't get so personal, okay? With this, I would guess that it's time to conclude the session. I am sorry I couldn't see your beautiful, pretty faces. I couldn't hear your beautiful, pretty voices, and you had to go through the fatigue, or what would I say? My face has been haunting you for the last 2 hours. Apologies for that. And I hope I've been able to answer to your questions, cater to your questions. If you still have any questions, please feel to pass them to Harun. You can send them to me and I can respond back to you. And if you have further questions, you need to help in the future as well, you can add me on LinkedIn. I go by Faisal Imtiaz. Do not get confused with my picture over there. I'm kind of a little photogenic, or I do have good friends who have good cameras, so don't get confused. Okay, don't let the looks on the LinkedIn profile fool you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, are you done, Faisal? I'm just going to do the formal closing.
I'm done. Thank you. I'm done.
Great. Thank you very much, Faisal. I think excellent session. And even though I'm probably at the at the epic of my career or something, I really enjoyed all the conversation. I really enjoyed the mistakes that you mentioned people make. Um, very quickly recapping. I mean, the first look at the resume and you see a funny email address, shoot, off it goes. Really enjoyed the way you described the interview skills, the interview questions. A lot of times, when you say, do you have any questions in the end, and the person says, no, I'm sorry, I don't have any questions. Even if it's an excellent interview, you got a 25% marks deducted straight away. I mean, and that sort of reduces the chance of you getting the job. Very right. Do not talk about your current organization. Do not talk about your current organization in a negative way. If it's a competitor organization, it's perfectly all right. I think Faisal, you would have mentioned that it's perfectly all right to say, sir, this is. I think this information is classified, to the organization. I being a professional would not be able to share more information about my existing organization with you. I think it reflects positively on your professional skills, unless if it's some information that is desperately direly needed in your selection process. I think that then there, with taking due precautions, you can go around and make a mention, but try not to quote your current organization. But in any case, you've heard the expert, you've heard Faisal talking. I think fantastic session. I really enjoyed it. I think what I felt was there are a lot of misconceptions corrected in this session. A lot of information that already sits in here about the recruitment process, the selection process. I think that was corrected. Faisal, how can you give a thank you so much? Taking time out. Faisal had to stay back today, especially for addressing all of you. And I think that simply deserves a huge round of applause for Faisal. Because Faisal, I'm sure you'll be able to hit at least one applause going on. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for all your effort. And I'm sure our members and our future members will love being in contact with you, and would have definitely enjoyed the session as much as I did. So thank you so very much for all your effort, your time. I will be in contact with you immediately after the session, also maybe tomorrow, for some corporate gifts to be sent your way, and with an appreciation letter. Thank you very much for your time and effort, and that's all from our side as well. Thank you very much, and Allah Hafiz.
Great. Khuda Hafiz. You guys have a nice one. All the very best. Just go out there and be good people. And
thank you very much. Thank you.